Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Lena. Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about the CRADLE series by Will White. It was about time, so basically let me give you a little bit of like backstory. But I read this entire series last year. I didn't binge read it because it was so good that I didn't really want to do that. So I consistently read one book a month throughout, I don't know, since March or something like that. Let me just tell you right now, I love this series. And today, I'm going to tell you why you should read the CRADLE series by Will White. Right now, the CRADLE series consists of 10 books. I almost said 30. I wish. Of 10 books. I almost said 30 again. Probably book 11 will be published this year. Last year, there were actually 2 books published, 9 and 11. So I really hope that this year we'll get another one, like besides Threadcode. But we'll see. The series is supposed to be 13 books long, so we still have 3 to go. You might be thinking, oh my god, so many books. No, they are quite short actually. Most of them stand between the 300-page mark, being the first ones, like the shorter ones. So of course I will keep in everything spoiler free, but I will just tell you about Unsouled, which is the first book in this series. And let me tell you, I do believe that this first book is great, but it has nothing to do with the progression of this series. Because on that note, this is actually a progression fantasy. A leader RPG, if you want to call it that. Basically, its premise is based around the notion that you have to level up your magic, basically. It's very reminiscent of PD games, that's what it's called, literary RPG. But we're going to follow Linden. Linden is such a cute guy. I just cannot. But in this first book, we're going to discover that he's an Unsouled, meaning that he is not able to practice magic. He has no affinity to any type of magic where his clan lives, basically. So that has always made him kind of an outcast, because his dream was always to become a Soulsmith like his mother. So, you know, that sucks, but we're basically going to follow Linden as he tries to just move his way around everything and try to actually learn magic and how to be just more useful in general. That's where everything starts. But definitely that's not the end result, because this series just goes beyond that. Like, in so many ways. The next, like, couple books in this series are very different from one another. For example, I didn't quite like Soulsmith, the second book, as much as the first one, but I did love Blackflame, which is a book 3. Since book 3, this series has just been getting better and better with each entry. I mean, sometimes it's a 4.5 and sometimes it's a 5 stars, yes, but it's just better in every single aspect from these previous books. Like, it's insane. When you read something and you're just like, okay, this is great, it just keeps getting better. Like, it's absolutely nuts. And the thing is, you get so many different things from this series. Most fans of video games are going to love this because it's going to be so reminiscent of that. Just besides the point of leveling up, you're going to have like dungeon crawls. Just getting into a damn dungeon, trying to find out a treasure. You're going to have tournaments, which is so good, so good. You're going to have your saving the world type of trope. Is amazing. I do have to say that even though sometimes it falls into some of the more usual tropes, it usually just subverts them or just adds like a very cool twist or like a funny twist, which is something that I really like. Also, if you like humor, these books are great. I'm not one for humor in books actually, but I do love this series humor. It's just really well done and it matches up with the characters. You're not going to find the very like grumpy character being funny all of a sudden, you know? She's going to say grumpy, but sometimes she will have like a great like comedic timing moment that is just so perfectly done. That's mostly everything that I want to talk about, like on a broad scale, but let's just not talk about the characters. Of course, Linden. Linden is such a good character. Sometimes, you know, as someone who really likes dark fantasy, sometimes I just want to follow someone that I know is good. and his motivations are right and correct. Sometimes I just want that, you know? I just want to feel safe and be just like, yes, I'm doing the right thing by supporting this character. And Lena is someone like that. It gave me the same feeling as following Percy in Percy Jackson. Like, it's really like someone who can have like a darker side, but he's always going to be this someone who has to do what's right. It's fucking great. Also, he's a bit of a of a himbo. I just love him so much. He's one of those characters that you really care deeply about, and something that is going to make you just like be very fond of him is the fact that no one really takes him seriously, and a lot of people just really despise him for not being able to use magic in this first book, which is fucking awful. And you'll be just like, what the fuck did you say to him? How fucking dare you? This came back on later entries in the series when we are back in Secret Valley, and damn. Fucking damn, it was so hard to see. And I was just like, oh, Lyndon, you can do it. But yeah, he's very smart also, which is something that I love in characters. Like, you know, he's able to just go through every single like obstacle that he has on his way. I love it. He has like this great focus. He's always thinking about that and how can just get better and be able to save the world, basically. It's just great. It's just great. Lena is fantastic. Even though she appears also in book 1, we're going to get more of her in this one. Jaren is the fucking greatest character. Like, she's so cool. She's so cool. She's this character that is kind of very grumpy at first and is just focused on her path. She doesn't care about anything else. She has to find her answers and that's it. But she grows with every single book. It's amazing. In this one, we also have Ethan, who is my favorite character. I just love him so much. There's a lot going on with him. He's part of this more powerful family outside this valley, and he kind of just takes them in, and he's great. He's also like the wittiest and dumbest character, but he is great. He's just so great. I like him a lot. He's fantastic. Then honestly, I don't remember in which one she showed up. Well, I'm not exactly sure because some of my memories of this are just very mixed up. But Mercy, Dross, Orthos, great additions to the series. They didn't show up in the first books, but now they are just part of the family. It's just fantastic. It's just like great additions to the like very long cast of characters that we have now. It's just fantastic. So even if you just don't get that feeling of character development in the first and second book, just wait. It just takes its time. It's a very long series, so you're not going to have just like your development like here and there in the first book. It takes time, but it's so worthy, like so worthy. I will do a side note, no spoilers obviously, but there's a romance in this book. There's very slowly developing. It's still going on. It's just great. It's just great. I'm not one for romance, you know this already, but it's just so cool. It's one of these that you're just like, yes, let's go. It's just amazing. I really liked it. But yeah, that's like a bit of a side note. So let me just tell you a bit about the magic system in this world. I'm not talking about either authority or icons. I'm just going to talk about the secret arts because those are just explained later in the books. So we're just not going to tackle that. It's just so many things. But the secret arts is just what is called the magic system in this world. So you basically have your all humans being born with a spirit and a poor core of Madra. If you're not familiar with Madra, think of something like mana in a video game, something like that. So every living thing has like a vital aura. Well, there really has to be alive. For example, think about something like a lake. It has like water aura. Think about stones. It has like stone auras. Something like that, you know, it's there. Surrounding everything, there's an aura. So by channeling this vital aura, you basically create that type of Madra in your body, and then you're able to use it. Obviously, as I've just told you, there are a shit ton of types of vital auras, but usually secret artists only get like 2 or 3 at the most. That's just like your typical. So basically, once you channel your Madra, you have 4 ways of using it. You can use a striker technique, meaning you use your Madra to just strike a person from a distance. You can use a forge technique that will basically make objects out of Madra. Then you can use an enforcer technique that would actually enforce someone or something. And then you can use a ruler technique that will basically make Madra do something around your body. For example, illusions and something like that. Stuff like that. It's very weird. I know it seems harder to understand, but it's actually not that deep. You can get pretty acquainted with the magic system by reading the books. It's just very easily explained because you're going to follow Lena using these types of techniques, so it's very easy, and I'm doing a terrible job at explaining it. But yeah, that's just like a tackle at the magic. Let me just tell you something. Since you finish Unsouled, which is book 1, and you get into this one, world building over the roof. Like, there's a lot of world building in this series. You get to explore it. With each entry, you're never stuck just like in one place. And once you're stuck, it's just for like 1.5 book because maybe something is going on in that place, like a tournament or something like that. But you will get people from every other part of like this world, and they will come in, and you will just get like a very little snippet that out there are other cultures and stuff. But most of the time you will get to know someone or either explore that culture. But yeah, those were basically my thoughts about it. I do have to say that besides Soulsmith, I've given every single book of this series 4 and above stars. It's just so good. It's extremely enjoyable. You will have a blast of a time. Like, the characters are so likable and lovable. You feel it. Like, you're so committed into following Lena that will just share his path. It's fucking great. I couldn't recommend this series more, honestly. If you just like fantasy in general, you're in for such a ride. By the way, by the time I'm uploading this, the Kickstarter will be still active, I believe, but Will White also did a Kickstarter for special editions of the first 3 books of the Cradle, and I have indeed pledged for it. Even though I don't really collect special editions, I do really want a special edition of Blackflame because it was my favorite book of the series for a long time. But man, it was great. Currently, my favorite one is Bloodline. I know that it's a very unpopular opinion in the series, but I just love that book. It felt like a great culmination. I do have to say the Reaper was also fantastic, but each book is just better, and you get to discover something else. And let me tell you, I just told you the tip of the iceberg. Feels like a very just save the world type of novel. It is actually not. You'll find out in the middle of book 1, but I just wanted to keep everything spoiler free. It is great. I also highly recommend the audiobooks. Took me a bit to get used to the narrator, but once you do it, it's just fucking fantastic. So yeah, highly recommend that you read the CRADLE series by Will White. It's just so good. It's just so good, man. I just cannot wait for Dreadgod. I'm super excited. Again, highly recommend that you try it. If you have read it, please just let me know. But as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.